Welcome to Rico's Lounge. It's a late night. I know the lighting and everything's a little bit different tonight because I'm on a different type of tone today. So, obviously, you guys read the title of this video. So, I bet you there's a lot of mixed emotions, already a little smoke. I'm good with all of that tonight because I'm coming from a different place today. So, got my little cup, Rico's Lounge, you know what I mean? Even got my shirt on. I'm the pappy. So, the reason why I titled what I titled today is because it's Father's Day. And I know that could be a lot of different things for a lot of different people. But I'm going to talk about deadbeats. And I put it in air quotes because there's a reason why I did that. Because what is truly a deadbeat dad? Society has its own definition of what it is. I honestly beg to differ. Even though in my own life, the relationship with my dad, I'll get into that in a little bit, that was a little bit different, but that taught me a lot. And compared to how I grew up in a dynamic with my father, you have a lot more men that are not with women that attempt to be fathers, but the court system keeps them from doing that. So, with that being said, that's the type of energy I'm on. And my disclaimer right now, I don't care how y'all feel tonight. Because it's about the men that try to be fathers in their lives and they get disenfranchised through the courts, through different reasons, being erased. So let's start how this whole thing became the social norm. So I really put a lot of thought into this video because this was a topic I definitely want to talk about. So we have to look back into the 70s because that's where you see the most of it. Now, for people that are not big historians and things like that, I will also say do your research. This is just me giving a short version of it, but you can go deep dive and read about it. So, in the 70s, between the 50s and the 70s, a lot of people know what was going on. Civil rights, all that kind of stuff. But the history they neglect to not really talk about is when they gave welfare, government assistance, whatever you want to call it, the biggest part of when they started giving it out, the men were not allowed to be in the home. Now, some of the people that don't know that or a little taken back by that, they're like, why is that? Because during those times, especially in the minority communities, with all the racism and everything going on, the only thing that kept strong was the family unit. So the powers that be, I'm not going to deep dive into that, but the powers that be, they figured in their mind, how can I dismantle the family unit? So what they did was, how does anybody function? Incentives. So government came out, however way they did it, and would say, hey, we'll give you government assistance and all of that. However, the man can't be in the home. So some of the people that see this, that may know this, that lived during that time, or even sometimes you might know it now, where if the Section 8 guy comes around, whatever, and the guy has to pack up all his stuff and leave and all of that, that's where that came from. Because if they find out a man's living in a home, they'll cut off the help because the man is the protector, the provider, et cetera, and the powers that be understand that. So because of that, that's what started the incentivizing of removing the father out the home. So they used to do that a lot. They used to not live in a home, but when the people that came to check, when they would leave or whatever, the man will move back in the home and they live off the government assistance. Then we're going to fast forward, we'll say the 90s. I'm going to say, yeah, like around, I'll say in the 90s. during the 90s, that damn feminism scam. I will be talking about that a lot. That whole scam, I don't need no man in the home and all those kind of things. And because I have all these different incentives and programs and things of that nature, that I don't need him. I could raise a kid by myself. Chris Rock said, he said, raising a kid by yourself is kind of like driving a car with your feet. You could do it, but it don't make it a good fucking idea. But however, with that, then you had the dynamics of family court. I'm gonna jump backwards into history real quick because prior to the 70s, you know who got majority custody of children? The men did. The women were the one that walked away from the relationships a lot back then, which they don't want to tell you that, because if they tell you that, some of y'all already scratching your head. Dads actually had custody of the kids. Yeah, most of the time, women would meet a guy, run off, leave the kids, leave a whole life, and there you were as the man raising the kids. And through that, they found that men raising the kids actually had a better outcome. And they have done studies in today, 2024, and all that stuff, and that has shown to be true. Either having both parents in the household or the household where it's the single father. I know that blows people's minds. You feel free to check for yourself, because they're not going to tell you that. Because if they tell you that, you're going to be like, well, what's all of this about? So, I was in a family court system myself, and at the time, the foresight at the time, all I was trying to do was trying not to make life harder for my son as is, because the relationship ended. And that was a hard time. That was a dark place for me. And people that know me, they know what I went through with that. And because they know what I went through with that, it was a lot of sleepless days, working nights. Work was affected by it. I just saw how vindictive at the time she was, and you hear the normal rhetoric, oh, all these bitter women, or even right now, men are being bitter men. I'm not coming from that space. I'm just telling the story how it was, and 6 years later from the time we broke up and everything else like that, 6 years later, as far as in courts, child support, all that stuff, my son ended up moving out of state. That took a great toll on me, and the reason why it took a great toll was because when he was here, I saw him every day that I had off, except for Sundays. That's the way the schedule was, because Sundays was kind of like everybody's day to kind of rest and recharge or whatever it is, because my job doesn't work a typical 9 to 5 Saturday and Sunday, so I gave that grace with the Sunday. So him being in Florida, that's cool, but there was a void, and I did the best I can. He come up for the summers, doing me paying child support and financials. I couldn't fly down to Florida the way that I wanted to, or the way I want to see him, and that part of it took a toll probably on him too. He's not the type to really be too expressive, but obviously not having his father there all the time, he's probably going through the thoughts like I did when my father wasn't around my formative years. Does my dad love me, and all that kind of stuff. And I love my son. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But it was just very difficult, and it probably took a toll on both of us. And as he's gotten older, and things have changed, I'm gonna keep it real short. Pretty much what's coming out right now is I'm trying to be erased from being his father. That's the reality of it all. And I realized that's not just me. That's a lot of these men out here. These women are so angry with us for whatever reason that it is, and everybody's reason is different. So I'm not gonna sit here and say it's a universal thing, you know, men cheat, whatever. Honestly, I don't care, because at this point of the game, if the relationship is over, it's over. And when a kid is involved, you hurting him. So pretty much that just shows me how selfish a lot of y'all are. You're that selfish that you want to hurt the man by not allowing the child to be in his life, and to cut the man out because your feelings are hurt, knowing that he or she, their chances of succeeding in certain things go down. So, that's a little bit of a rant, but this topic is real to me. This is, so, every time Father's Day comes around, I don't get phone calls. I don't get that tie. And then what makes it worse is you go on social media. That was one of the reasons why I left social media, because that shit irked my nerve. When I mean that, grind gears, whatever you want to call it. The happy Father's Day to the real fathers and the single moms doing their thing. What? I'm the mother and the daddy. No, you're not. You just the mom. That's what you are. Just the mom. And there's nothing wrong with that title. Because I process this in a lot of different ways. Like, like the pat on the back. Mother's Day and Father's Day, to me, they're just pats on the back. And then nowadays, you got different cultures coming from different countries getting more than one Mother's Day in a year. Like, what? What are we? You know what? That's not even what this is on. Like, but, the scam is real. You know what I mean? Yeah. Self-centered. Okay. But Father's Day is the worst, because all a day like today is, it's just a constant reminder of why we can't be with our children. Why do we have to suffer in silence? And I told a couple of people what's going on. I gave them the details, because this is not the venue for me to give all the details. I gave enough just so that people can understand. They tell me, well, it's different schools of thought. I found it interesting that everybody that told me to go to court were the women. And you know what the guys tell me? Yo, man, that's messed up, dog. I don't even know how you do it, man. Like, when he gets older, you going to have that conversation, chop it up, and that's where you get your time to shine and all that stuff. So those are the two school of thoughts that I hear, and that's the opinion that I take, right? Well, that's the opinions that I've been getting. And the reason why I'm not a fan to go to the courts, because that goes back to what I said a little bit ago. It's because the courts are our incentive to give the women everything that they need, because they realize that they can manipulate the women by giving them financials, whatever they need. Because how many men do you actually see on welfare? Single, able-bodied men that don't work, nothing like that. I don't have the numbers right now, and like I said, this type of video tonight, I don't care about the numbers right now. Because somebody's going to be like, oh, well, there's more than you think, or whatever. Bull. Because it's crazy. And with that, the reason why I don't want to go to court It's because what they're gonna tell me, hey, sorry for you, fella. You should have picked better. Of course, they'll say it in with $20 words and all of that, but it would have been like you should have picked better, or you should have been more responsible. Whatever fucked up shit they want to fucking tell me, but they'll tell it to you in a fancy way. And then the biggest thing I learned was the biggest kick in the nuts, if you will, was when I found out that the federal government matches these states for child support. Man, listen. So so fellas, if you're paying child support but you have an issue with the custody, that's why. Because they know men don't ask for child support. The men that do have custody, they don't put the women on child support as far as number wise. I mean, you have your 10%. You have your people that want to get back or whatever. I can't speak on those men, but majority of men do not ask for child support from their women. And these courts and this system knows that. So they're not going to give you the custody. That's the real reason. It comes back to dollars and cents and keeping the voter stock. That's what this whole game is all about. But nowadays, it's about being part of the club. You know, I spoke to a lot of people before doing this video. A lot of people had a lot of different opinions. I just knew this was one of those like, nope, I hear you, but I'm gonna do it how I do it, because bump that. It's my story. It's our story. You know, the men that go through this on a daily, that don't speak about it, that they try to speak about it, but you know what happens? They get shamed for it. You should have picked better, my nigga. That's what they say to you. Matter of fact, they be like, here, drink this. Who cares about what your problem is? Drink this, smoke this, whatever it is your group of friends tell you to do. That's what they tell you to do. You know, because they realize this stuff, you ain't got no choice. There's no choice in the matter, you know, when it comes to all of this stuff. And the only thing it hurts is, you know, not for nothing, even in my own situation, damn my feelings, even damn her feelings. It hurts my son. And that's what you guys got to realize. You know, we have to stop being self-centered about our feelings of a failed relationship that half of us didn't even know how to be in a relationship in the first place. You know, somebody else, it's in another word, somebody else is paying for the sins of our shortcomings, because everybody got shortcomings in their own way. And like I said, it's not even about keeping it balanced. It's just being honest. You know, not every situation applies to what I'm talking about tonight, because I know somebody's going to come in with the 10%. Oh, well, you know, these men out here, they're abusive and all that. Yeah. But you know what's crazy? As I did do study and look back into history, when the mothers left the house and the fathers had custody, the mothers never came around. They never gave a dime, nothing. The only reason why they're taking responsibility of it now is because they're incentivized. Because I guarantee you take the incentives away, there'll be a lot of single fathers out here, guaranteed. Because I do say that a lot of these mothers out here saying that they're the bomb.com moms, they're deadbeat moms. Shout out to Angry Man. He said that shit blew my mind. I said, wow. Because let's examine what mothers do, right? Now the ones, you have your ones that work, you know, work and all that stuff. I ain't talking to y'all. In this particular moment, y'all know who I'm about to talk to. The mothers that collect that child support, that collect that welfare, that don't work, don't do nothing, and then what you do to your kids all day, you shove a damn iPad in their face, or a TV, or a phone, and you tell them, watch this. And then you complain, oh, these children work my goddamn nerves or whatever. You see it in the street or the store, don't touch them Skittles. I told you when we leave this house, you don't ask me for shit, because you ain't going to get shit. And you better not say shit. Those are the mothers I'm talking to, because those are the same mothers that turn around and be like, Happy Father's Day to the real dads and the single moms out here doing it. Those are the type of moms that do that. So that really goes back to a personality thing. But also, I wanted to also talk about my relationship with my dad. I'm gonna shift gears through all of this for a minute. My relationship with my dad was complex because my dad had his own demons. You know, he's deceased at this point, so not gonna trash the dead. Because not gonna do that because a he's not here to defend himself, and me being in a similar position with not knowing what my son is thinking, I want to be able to defend myself too. So I have to keep that in mind. A little bit of maturity, a little bit of wisdom there. However, I'm not going to sit and say that the times when my dad was around that it wasn't bad. I remember being a kid and every Saturday we worked on his car, whatever, the Volkswagen Rabbit. If you guys in my age bracket, you know what car that is. Every Saturday, without fail, he had me and my sister. He was working on the car. We would just play around the car. And I am going to shout out my mom at this moment in time because she'd been through what she'd been through with my father. But definitely not getting into that. But it never hindered our relationship with him, like me and my sister at the time. As we gotten older, it became two separate relationships. So I'm just going to speak on my experience with my father. The thing with my dad was he was all over the place, like as I got to speak to him and to build our relationship, because at the time he passed away, we were rebuilding our relationship as being an adult and everything like that. And we would hang out, we would talk, watch movies. My father was a bass guitarist, so we had a lot of music in common. Like, he loved the Stanley Clarke, all that. Like, he all about the bass player Jimi Hendrix. That was his move. So he taught me that kind of stuff. Like, as far as the music going back and things of that nature. And it turned out he was a Biggie and Tupac fan, which kind of threw me off, but I thought it was kind of cool. He actually, prior to YouTube and all of that stuff, if you wanted the music videos, you got them on DVDs. My father actually owned a video set of Biggie and a video set of Tupac. And sometimes, if I come around and at this moment, fresh from the military, all of that, old enough to partake in drinking. So, me and my dad, we have a little sip and he'll put on, he'll be like, oh, you see this Tupac video? Even though I seen it, I know what he was trying to do. He was trying to make up for lost times, how he saw, in his opinion. And initially I had to be like, Dad, those days is gone. Like, not that little kid no more, but I thought about it that he was just trying to be his way. Like, sometimes be at the store or something, and even when I made more money than him, he'd turn around and he'd buy my food. He'd be like, nah, son, save your money, all that kind of stuff. So, we had a good relationship towards the end of his life. I mean, he died suddenly, and that did hurt because at the time, like I said, because he's all over the place, he never really had his own apartment. And I guess I influenced him because I always try to tell him, go for the next level, go for the next level. He'd be like, I ain't trying to be responsible for others. And, my dad used to say crazy stuff, but now it makes sense. But at the time, that's what he would say. So when he suddenly died, he died in his new apartment, and he wanted to surprise me. That he got his own apartment, his own space, through his own grit that he got it, working hard and all that kind of stuff. Because that showed his own growth, you know. So that was a hard blow, and I started looking at things a lot different. Because one of the things he said to me was, you know, hey son, I failed you. You know, I had my own things going on, but when it's your turn, be a better man than me. Be a better father than I was. And that really touched me. You see it in my face a little bit, because for him to turn around and say that through everything that my family dynamic went through, you know, like, you know, this is probably the first time my mom's gonna hear this, because she'll probably see this video. My father said the worst thing that he ever did was let my mother go. You know, he recognized his own shortcomings. And seeing that, especially being older, during my formative years, I was a little knucklehead. Like I said, I'm not going to get into all of that. But I thought maybe if I heard that message then, could have shifted me different? Maybe not. I don't know. But, you know, something like that, yeah, said a lot of stuff. Like, he told me, if you're going to do something wrong, do it right. People hear me say that at work, they laugh. But that's all my dad. And even sometimes when I go on my rants, my terror, even then, that's a little bit of my dad when he say, hey son, sometimes you gotta Obama some shit, sometimes you gotta Tupac some shit. Which means sometimes you gotta be eloquent in your speech, and sometimes you gotta say, I don't give a fuck, and just rock out, and I don't care how y'all feel, sit in the corner, I don't know what to tell you. But sometimes you gotta know the balance and the difference in that, you know. And what's another funny thing he said? That was a good one. He said, oh man, I'm trying to remember some of his funny stuff right now, because I know the video shifted a little bit from what I was initially talking about, but talking about my dad on Father's Day makes you realize that my dad was not perfect. And my mother never shied away from me having a relationship. My father did not come around because he had to deal with his own stuff. And it's crazy. I get it now. And, you know, I was talking to my mom another day about another topic. I might save that for a different video. But through that conversation, she said, you know, we go through things that shape us to be better. And sometimes we look at the negative part of it and we dwell on the negative part, but sometimes we don't look at the positivity of that part. And I think as far as my dynamic with the relationship with my dad was that because he wasn't around, I had to journey being a man by myself. And boy, I made a lot of mistakes here and there, but then I had some victories. I have some understanding of it all. So maybe that was the good in all of that, you know, like that my dad wasn't around, and maybe building our relationship before he passed away. And I mean, I wish he was still around now sometimes, you know, like especially this stuff. He probably definitely navigate me through some of this stuff. But yeah, with all of that, I was able to experience that. But nowadays, these kids, they don't experience that. A lot of them refuse to talk to their fathers because their mother said how terrible they are. You know, and with that, that kid doesn't allow to form their own opinion. If dad was honestly terrible, because you do have some terrible dads, but I encourage everybody whose father's not in their life to actually reach out to them if you have the ability to reach out to them and have a conversation, because especially nowadays, a lot of stuff is coming out. Like, when I was younger, big Tupac fan, resonated with Tupac. Come to find out, his father was in Tupac's life as a toddler. His mother, Afeni Shakur, that everybody loves, told Tupac that his father died. Yet, he had him as a toddler up to a certain age, and when she moved to Oakland, she cut ties with the father and turned around and told Tupac her father's dead. So he was rolling through life thinking his dad was dead. And that's the Art of the Dialogue interview. So if you want to check that out, that interview, not for nothing, did bring a tear to my eye, because, like, for an example, the first time he saw his son since they moved was in the movie Juice, in the movie theater. That was the first time he saw his son. That's crazy. Like, when he got shot the first time, father was there. Tupac opened his eyes and his father was there. That's stuff they don't want to tell you. There's a lot of fathers who might be perceived as deadbeats. A lot of these women they don't tell the truth about everything. They tell their version, and sometimes it's self-serving, and that's all right. But the problem with that is you take away the decision making of the kid to allow to decide for himself. Like, with my own dad, I was able to decide for myself. Some things I took that are positive and all that, and some things that were negative, I left it. But it was left up to me to make the decision. And that's where I have the real problem with this self-serve and everything else like that. And I'm not going to lie, I'm tired of it. I'm not going to stand for it no more. And what I said to my mom, I said, y'all trying to take Father's Day, but you better worry about saving Mother's Day if y'all know what I'm talking about. Because, boy, we're not going to even get into that, but if you know, you know. But you better save Mother's Day. Stop worrying about Father's Day, you know what I'm saying? Try to take that. And that's the crazy thing with all of that. With the whole Father's Day, that whole dynamic, And then, how you know the difference between fathers and mothers with Father's Day? I'm gonna give y'all ladies a cheat code real quick. If you want to honor the man that's the father for Father's Day, just get him a steak and leave him alone. Don't bother him for shit. Don't ask him for shit. And he'll be happy. Because that's all us fathers want for Father's Day. It's not even about the recognition. Some of us think it is, and this video might seem to contradict that point. But honestly, that's the real Father's Day. And if he likes a cigar, get him a good cigar. That's all a father needs for Father's Day. That's it. That's why Mother's Day, that's why when the family dynamic is the family dynamic, that's why the man goes all out. Because he knows how important Mother's Day is for y'all. He understands, you need the parade, whatever it is. And it's okay. Like, there's no harsh or bad thing behind it. That's just nature. That's just how it's built. That's cool. But dads are built different. You know what I mean? And then when those type of women say Happy Father's Day and and to the single moms and all of that, they're stroking their own ego. That's what they're doing. But they don't realize through stroking their own ego, you do take away from fathers, the fathers that cannot be there, you know, because of the courts and all of that kind of stuff. You know, you do a disservice to that because there's nothing more that a man wants to do is be there for his children. You know, you might not think that's true. That's very true. And you know how I know that? I have been around a lot of single guys, heard a lot of their stories, man. And let me tell you, compiling all of that stuff, there is nothing more that we want for Father's Day is that drawing, you know, that the where the child makes the mom 8 feet tall and they draw themselves and dad is the tiniest guy in the picture, but dad don't give a damn. He's in the picture. That's all we want our love and admiration from our children. We don't give a damn what y'all do. We just want to be able to hug our kids, kiss our kids, tell them how much we love them, and be that protector and provider for those children. And if the relationship don't work out, then so be it. Let him do that. Because if you love your kids that much, and that father was good to those children, then let him continue to do that. Don't erase him out the history books just because your feelings is hurt. Don't do that. Because that's such a disservice. You know, like, I think it's just crazy how in this day and age we're talking back and like I said, this is the end. This is it. This is the fight. By 2026, fellas, I'm gonna tell you that right now. We gonna be a little funny right now. The year 2026, if we see those posts, the single moms and all that, we taking Mother's Day. Matter of fact, no. 2025, you see a post, Happy Father's Day to the real dads and the single moms. We hijacking Mother's Day next year. That 2026, we hijacking Mother's Day, and we gonna do all the stuff that we would do in reverse. We're going to hijack Mother's Day. We're going to hijack Father's Day. We're going to hijack it all. Because we're not doing this no more. Y'all got to get y'all shit together because y'all bugging. You know what I mean? You don't see the real dads coming out on Mother's Day saying, Happy Mother's Day to the real dads. And if they do, they're a bitch-ass nigga for that. Yeah, I'm allowed to say it. That other girl that said it, yeah, she's in some trouble. But whatever. That's not what the topic is. If you saw it, you saw it. But now, that's what we got to do now. That's what we really got to do because tired of this. You need to play your position. You need to have several seats. You need to sit down, take your Mother's Day. If you want to steal the other Mother's Day from different countries, steal those too. But you know what? Leave Father's Day alone. Stop jacking that. You know what I mean? I'm tired of that. That shit's getting old, real quick. But it's been going on for a long time. I watch from the clouds with that. And, you know, with all of that, I just feel that I had to get that out today. Like, this is one of those days where I had to send this message out because I know I'm not the only dad. When it's Father's Day, you don't get that phone call. And it's not because... Oh, the only other disclaimer I'll say, a true deadbeat, I'll tell you what a true deadbeat is. The one that beats the kids and does all nefarious things to their children. Trust me, there's stories about what fathers do. Like that father that had the sleepover and drugged the smoothies and all of that. That's a deadbeat dad. That dude right there. You know what I mean? And I bet to say that the daughter's friends that were brought over, I wonder if they come from two-parent households. I don't know. I didn't deep dive into that. Somebody do that for me. Let me know. But I'll tell you what, that's a deadbeat dad. That's the definition of a deadbeat dad, because he was willing to hurt his own daughter and her friends. That's a deadbeat dad. Not the guy that broke up with you because you nagged him too much. That ain't no dad. That ain't deadbeat dad. Matter of fact, I'll tell you another fact about my dad that'll blow y'all mind. Right? Like I told you, I pay child support. Right? I'm up to date. If anything, I'm ahead with my child support payments. You know, my dad died owing my mom child support. That's right. When my dad was working the past few years before he passed away, my mom would get child support checks. That shit was funny because the amount of money, I never asked my mom, and maybe if somebody in the comment section wants to know how much, I'll ask her. Maybe she'll tell me, maybe she won't, but I might ask just to see how much child support was during that time, because that's the rate that he would owe, and it's nowhere where my son gets for his child support today. No, not by a country mile, not even close. But yeah, she'll get the child support checks and stuff like that, and it made my mom chuckle because at this point we're grown, have a kid, have my own job. My sister works, has her own job. Mom's doing great in life compared to what it was when we needed the child support. So it was ironic how my mom would get child support and my dad died owing child support. That shows how crazy that is. Because my mom had to track him down. See, that's the deadbeat part of it. My mom had to track him down. I went to the court and put myself on it. See, there's a difference. Now having the hindsight, knowing that how this stuff turned out like this, I'll be honest, I don't know what I would have done. But I was the only man in the child support office. And the women were rage quitting. Like, he put himself on child support. I can't even get my kid to get diapers. And this guy's out here putting himself on child. Pissed them off. Pissed them off like they've never been pissed off before. But I was trying to honor my father's legacy. Even through all of this, I was trying to honor my father's legacy. And I'll be honest, Dad, I don't think I could do it no more. I just got to be me and live my life. And I think us other men, we're feeling that way too, because we try, we have resistance, because they don't want us involved. It's weird. I don't know. I don't even have the answers. I can't even begin to fake it like I do. But I'll tell you what, there will be a time when things will be reversed and things will be revered. So, today, all I can truly say is Happy Father's Day to the men, to the fathers, to the grandfathers, to the great-grandfathers, to the men that are expecting children. Happy Father's Day to you guys. Don't let nobody take your shine. And for us fellas that we don't get to be with our kids, see our kid, call our kid, anything else like that, just keep your kid in your heart. Just know that you love them. Know that you do. And my suggestion is, you know what? I'll say this. Every time you miss your kid, write them a letter. Shout out to the men in these spaces. I said so much today, and they're all from different people. And this message, I'm just being raw right now. But shout out to all the guys. I'm not the only game in town that said all these things. So I'm not gonna sit here and fake it and all of that stuff. But write your children letters. Let them know how much you miss them in letters. So if you ever do have the conversation, you just pull out the letters and say, here you go, you can read it. Because then they get the raw feelings that you have in that moment at that particular time. You're not just saying it, you're showing it. all you could do is keep your kids in your heart, pay your child support because you don't want them suspending your license, all that goofy stuff. You know what I mean? Because the state would do anything to make sure that federal money's coming. I'll probably have to do a separate video on that one because I know there's probably a few people that's going to want to know how that works. I'll do a separate video on that. So, with all of that being said, I'm not going to keep y'all too long. I just wanted to voice my disgust to the deadbeat father thing and happy Father's Day to all the real dads and single moms. Even when I read it, it makes me cringe. It makes me, whatever. That's what they do. But, ladies, it's okay to sit this day out. It's cool. You not for nothing. I used to always say, Mother's Day is 364 and a half days in a year. So, if you got that amount of time, let the men just have one. Let them have one. Just one. And even then, we don't even get the whole day. 8 hours. So with that being said, enjoy your Father's Day. Yeah, I like my cup. Shout out to Miss Crystal Ortiz that made the cup. This is awesome. She's making other cups. I'm gonna post her contact on the description of the video. And I had to shout out, rest in peace to Bernie Mac. Inspiration for the shirt. I'm the pappy, because that's the one thing. No matter how much they try to erase us from history, I'm the pappy. And if you don't know what that's from the movie Life. Funny scene. It just, you type it on YouTube, I'm the pappy. It pretty much, you'll definitely laugh. We missed the Bernie Macs. That was another real dad. Mr. Bernie Macs out here. Check out the Kings of Comedy when he's talking about raising kids. But thank you for your time, and you guys have a blessed and good day.